We are live. I see that Gene's on, Rob, JJ, the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. We've already got 5 thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Let me get the live feed going here. So I am in Kansas City with my son Cooper at a baseball tournament. And say hi to everybody, Cooper.
What's up?
So he is kicking some tail with his team here in Kansas City, and so I am in a hotel room. Amanda is getting ready to smile because I'm going to put her on camera. So Amanda wasn't able to make it on the trip. She's got some other stuff going on with her kiddos, so you can say hi. Everybody can hear you.
Hi, everyone. Hope you all are having a fantastic day.
There she is. That's right. So we will have Amanda virtually. I could probably just put you right here, like on my shoulder, like this right here.
Go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So what I need to know is, what is the word of the day? We got Seth on with us. Happy Friday. And Rob, Card Shop Reality, live via satellite. Jason, what's going on? I really appreciate that. And the amazing Amanda, that's right. So I have got my laptop right here, and usually Amanda is like getting all this stuff set up for me. Daryl's on, and we've got someone's already got a question, which is good. We're going to try and catch up with those. Thank you, Rob. Yes, Coop had a good outing yesterday for pitching, and it was only 1 inning, so he is really right now just pitching 3 innings at a time. All the pitchers are, since they didn't get to play during the spring, of course. And so last weekend was his first time to be back on the mound, and did really well. We've had a number of colleges reach out to him. We've done a couple of college visits, so it's kind of a little bit of a whirlwind. That Division I schools are not able to do anything until after July 31st. And so we're visiting with the JUCOs, which for Cooper, who would like to get drafted at some point, it's a better route. When you go to Division I, you typically are going to get redshirted or not do much in the first year. And so going a JUCO route, junior college. And so anyways, he's got a full ride offer from 2 top 10 JUCOs in the nation, which is great. 1 in Missouri, 1 in Oklahoma. He's got a visit up in Kansas coming up with Cloud County College. So anyways, yeah, low and outside for the win. But yesterday he came in and pitched 1 inning, did a good job, got a little write-up on Twitter, and then our team just went to town and just rung it up, and we scored a whole bunch, and they still have a run rule even though they're 17 years old. And so anyways, he didn't get to pitch more than 1 inning. So today he played first both games, went 3 for 3, had a great walk, made it all the way home on 1 with the rest of the team behind him. Play tomorrow, and then championship all day Sunday. So he'll pitch. He'll start a game on Sunday, which will probably be more scouts there. So I do see that we have some questions, and I'm only able to see it on the phone. I only get to see it for like 1 second, and then it goes away. So I'm going to...
You want me to read one?
Yeah, well, and do you want to say hi to people? You want to say hi to some people? Because I got to do the pop-up.
You have to do the pop-up. I have to get back into that.
Yeah, see, everybody's talking to you. See, say hi to... All right, so you know what? I've got a charger hanging off of this phone. Okay, there's a charger literally hanging off of this phone, and it's on the bed. I've got this secondary phone. I've got my laptop. So yes, this is a little homemade. It's kind of like we made a fort right here in this hotel room in Kansas City. So why don't you do some shout out hellos, Amanda?
All right, so hi, Miss Glenda. I hope Leah's with you, and if not, tell her that we said hi. Hi, Miss Kelly Thomas. We are such big baseball fans here, obviously, too. Hi, Tony. I'm glad that you are here, and I'm sorry you missed us on Monday, but I'm glad that you're here. This guy is the legend, Jason. I completely agree with that.
Very kind.
And Card Shop Reality, obviously. Daryl Dugan, Alan Scott. I'm so glad to see Rob back on here. Thank you so much for the support and buying our shirts, which JJ I think is going to talk about because you guys will probably be able to hear him better than me. And then, hey, Scott and Kathy and Alan, we're so glad that you guys are here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. We do have some emails that we're going to get to. I do see we have some good questions. I did release a video earlier today. You may have already seen it. It was talking about the IRS deadline that we do have it coming up July 15th. That's when 2019 will be due, as well as first and second quarter 2020 estimated tax payments. That's at the individual level. If you had a business and it was a corporation, it would have filed the extension March 15th till September 15th automatically. And then for those that filed an extension for the partnership, same thing, that extends till September 15th. So coming due July 15th is the individual items, but I am hoping that they give us some more time. But the video I talk about it right now, the IRS commissioner is saying doesn't think it's in the cards. Some other news, I didn't have time to put this in a video, so y'all are gonna hear it first, which is the Secretary, U.S. Secretary of Treasury, Mnuchin. Thanks to Rob, he sent me a link to the actual hearing and told me to go to 29 minutes in the hearing so that I could hear this part, which I appreciate. So hasn't been written, hasn't been written up. No one's gonna have read about this unless they watched that hearing. But the U.S. Secretary did say that we can file for forgiveness whenever we want. We don't have to wait the 24 weeks. We know that there's this language that some can elect the 8 weeks, so I'm not sure what that all means. So we're gonna have to wait for those SBA guidelines to see if there's somehow some advantage, something different if you elect the 8 weeks. My big concern, and it's only really one, is if you are doing the 24 weeks, do you have to maintain your employees during that period of time? Is there still going to be a look at year end? Is it now June 30 if you're the 8 weeks when there's a look? But with the Secretary Mnuchin indicating that we don't have to wait to file for forgiveness, then my thought is that we probably can just file anytime we want. There won't be any advantage related to the June 30 versus the December 31st. So real quick, I know we've got we do want to answer the questions of people that are on live, and we recognize, I think, everybody. If you haven't subscribed, please do. CSR always says, smash those thumbs up. It helps on our algorithm, so to speak. But anyway, so what do we have? What do we have? Yes. Are you going to read off of our live comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. This is from Alan. He said, my lender used my 2018 tax returns. It's just funny to see me being held like that. My lender used my 2018 tax returns to create my PPP loan. I'm an independent contractor, classical musician. The lender did this as my 2019 returns were not completed by my CPA yet. When the PPP launched and I got my PPP in on day 2 of the program, will the forgiveness application still require me to use my 2019 tax return, line 31, Schedule C, as you say often?
Yeah, so great question. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate that very much. Yes, the SBA guidelines that came out May 22nd, which are on my website, jjthecpahelp.com, as well as then the forgiveness application that came out May 15th, do indicate that the only thing the self-employed can rely on is 2019 if you were in business in 2019. If you were not in business in 2019, they indicate that they are going to come out with additional guidelines on how to go about that. I've not seen anything related to that in terms of, well, what line item do you use or what do you document? But for those, and in your circumstances that you have 2019 that you're going to file, then whatever that line 31 is, that would be the amount. Now, hear this. What's interesting here, though, and I'm very anxious about the SBA guidelines to come out, is I wonder if for the self-employed, now it still may not get us out of line 31 look, but I'm wondering for the self-employed, if it doesn't work itself out, that if you have the 24 weeks that we're taking into play, then it's going to lead to an automatic forgiveness. And then we know we're going to get the 60%, which is divisible. So we take a payroll cost that's 24 weeks. You take that same payroll cost, divide it by 0.6, both together lead to an amount that would lead to 100% forgiveness. But when you roll back and you look at, well, how do you come up with the payroll costs that go on page 3 of the PPP forgiveness application, page 1, and that's based on the application as we know it right now. When you're going to that amount for payroll costs, what we know now is that what I had just indicated, it'd be 2019. So for those that did file, it would need to be a match. For those that haven't, whatever you used, there's a little bit of a quandary there for a little while, but the SBA indicated in essence that, well, if you filed a return and it was before you had filed when you got PPP, then the number you're going to use on the forgiveness application is going to be the line 31. So thank you for that question there. And hey, I do want to mention that we're supposed to have a word of the day, and we're supposed to be having a happy hour. And we are like 13 minutes in. No one has said anything about it that I've seen.
Our word was supposed to be potato today, but I don't think that we could do that since I'm not there.
Okay, we're not going to do potato. And we've done forgiveness. We've done criminal. We've done PPP.
How about SBA?
What? Okay, SBA. Who's picking the word today? Someone throw out a word. What are we doing for the word today? Anybody got one? I'm going to grab my drink, by the way. Hang on. I had one. I got it special. Hang on. All right. What's the next question, Amanda?
This is from Jason. Is the EIDL a good loan to take? I already got my PPP and I got my EIDL acceptance portal yesterday. Okay, so should you get and take your EIDL? This is totally homemade, isn't it? But that's what I think people like, is that, okay, I think if you just tuned in, I'm in a hotel room on my son's baseball tournament. I've got a charger because I've been filming all day. I've got a charger hanging off of this phone. Amanda's not with me, and so she's live via this phone. And then I've got a laptop here, and I need to find my drink. Hang on. All right, we're hanging on. Okay, maybe my son took it. Oh, here it is. Found it. Okay, did someone give us the word of the day? Dan and Marianne, they said word is college baseball. All right, well, we're going to have to be able to say that a lot. College baseball, everybody join me. Oh, and Card Shop Reality said he already voted already for Coop as word of the day. Well, there we go. We're going to go with Coop. I like that. And we're going to go with Coop. And then would you say college baseball? Yeah. Coop, college baseball. How about that? It all goes together. So Coop, college baseball. I know Patty B is at the pool with her family with margaritas. I can tell you that right now. What are you drinking, JJ? So this is a big styrofoam cup full of ice. And I've got a little Gatorade. A little Powerade. And then this clear liquid. I don't know what it's called. Oh, it's like firewater clear liquid. Now I have to go see what I know. So a little bit of Tito's in there. I don't know. Seth may be still on. Tito's is from Texas.
So should you get the EIDL, or is the EIDL a good thing? And so the one thing to note is I've got some videos on this. If you are talking about the EIDL, know that it's been in existence for a long time. It's to help those who are in disasters. What's new here is it's for the economic disaster. We know there's an EIDL advance. The EIDL advance, no matter what the dollar amount is, when the PPP forgiveness application came out, it became clear that the EIDL advance, regardless of when you got it, regardless of how you used it, meaning even if you used it for expenses that were not PPP expenses, you have to reduce down your loan forgiveness by the amount of your EIDL advance. So if you go to page 3 of the PPP application and you're looking at page 11, this is the current application, that is your forgiveness amount. You've done this whole calculation, full 11-page calculation on the PPP forgiveness. Line 11 says, here's the amount of your PPP forgiveness. Then you have to reduce down. There's nowhere on the form to do it. The SBA is doing it. You reduce down that loan forgiveness by whatever amount you got on the EIDL advance. Now, above that, we have the EIDL Express loan, which is $25,000, no collateral, no guarantees. Then above $25,000, you can get a loan up to $250,000. Does require collateral, but no guarantee required. And then you are able to get above the $250,000 up to $2 million with no guarantee. I'm sorry, with a guarantee and with collateral on that. With flying colors is with us. I love it. I love it. I love it. And Glenda, I saw it pop up. Yes, that's part. You know, I didn't have time to get out my video today. I did the one video, but I had a second video lined up, and I heard the same thing. I read the same thing, that the EIDL is going to open back up. It might have been, well, goodness, I don't know if it was you, Glenda, that emailed me. It might have been Rob. Somebody emailed me, I think. And I looked up and I saw a couple of articles that the EIDL, this loan, is looking potentially to open back up. What may happen, though, is that it opens back up maybe sector by sector. Right now, it's just the agricultural. So it might be that it's, well, for those that are in the restaurant industry, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Happy Friday, Charlotte. So from the perspective of the EIDL loan, I just like to give a little background. But to the question, with the EIDL loan, once you've used up your PPP funds, then you can be using that loan for payroll, for rent, for utilities, interest. While you have PPP funds that you're using, you can use that EIDL loan then for anything else that's an ongoing operating expense. And then, oh, don't say that, Glenda. And then as it relates to the EIDL, it's not meant to be paying the owner back for loans that they may have provided. It's not to pay them distributions, but it can pay the owner's wages. And then you can't buy assets with it or do investing. It's really meant to be ongoing expenses. And so, do I think it's a good idea to get it? I'm telling you, in this environment that we're in June, I'm going to say yes. And probably early on, I wasn't a fan of the EIDL from the standpoint of like, well, it's just more debt, it's just more loans. The big advantage to the EIDL loan, I appreciate that, Glenda. The big advantage to the EIDL loan is that you've got it over 30 years. It is 3.75. That's lower than a lot of banks. Most banks right now on a line of credit are going to be about 5.5%. On commercial real estate loans are going to be somewhere just under 5%. So 3.75 is good. The payments are deferred for 12 months. So I've really kind of changed my tune related to that. So I see that we've got some more questions. Fred's on with us. I want to make sure we've got Fred on, and I think that's Fred from Arizona that is on with us. And then Daryl Dugan had a question. But Amanda, what other questions do we have? I just want to make sure we're tagging those for sure as well. Just the over here I can see But here I just see stuff pop up for like a half a second. All right, so what's our next one, Amanda?
This is from Pat, and they said, following the hearing earlier this week, how do I request consideration for an additional EIDL loan?
Okay, an additional amount? Yeah, so here's how the EIDL works, as I understand it, is that you apply, and in essence, they say, here's the amount that we're going to, in essence, back as an EIDL loan. So they come up with the amount on their own. If you're going to get an SBA loan, like you're going to an SBA bank, you're getting an SBA loan from the Small Business Administration, well, then you can request a different amount. But from the standpoint of if you've already gotten an EIDL loan, then that's going to be all that you're going to get, as I understand it. The SBA has made it clear to not apply again, whether that's for the EIDL Advance or the EIDL. So if you've already applied and you've heard back, or you got your $1,000, or you got a dollar amount back from them, then you are you probably got all that you are going to get. But I will say this, okay, I say this on a lot of stuff. You might find a way that you could request it if you have multiple businesses, right? If you have multiple ID numbers, people have various businesses. So I've told clients, well, I mean, that one's not going to qualify for it, but this one does, not that you're taking advantage of it. So if you need it, and then talk with your bank, because you don't have to have the EIDL to get a loan with the SBA backing it. It's just going to be under a different program there. I saw something about Cooper, and it was from Charlotte, I think. And our word of the day, okay, is college baseball, and our word of the day is Coop. So cheers to everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you for being on with us. I really, really appreciate that. Carol's on with us. Carol, great to see you. Do you have another one?
This one is from Fred, the CPA. Can you do a video?
Fred, the CPA. Awesome.
Can you do a video on owner-employee caps, owner-employees losing forgiveness on retirement and healthcare? So yes, Fred, we will put that in the stash. I did take a shot of your question. So the next question is...
Oh, well, hang on that one. On that one there. So Fred, the CPA, right, on with us now, right? We've got a couple of different Freds, maybe 3 different Freds, right?
I think he's still on.
Okay. So to that question...
Yes, he is still on.
Okay, so I did a very thorough video about just that, and so I'm going to look for it here real quick if you all don't mind. But it is, and it says it all over it. But okay, it says, oh goodness, which one is it? I've got a bunch here. Flexibility, self-employed, great news, EIDL, PPP. Dang it, owner employees. Okay. So I did it 2 weeks ago. It still would apply, other than we don't know the 24-week part. So it still applies for right now, because we don't know how the 24 weeks going to affect the owners. But it's called PPP, Limited Payroll, Owner EEs, Self-Employed, Single Member LLC, Sole Prop, Independent Contractor, Gig, and Partners. It came out May 29th. It's got almost about 5,000 views, and you'll know it's the right one because I have my whiteboard up, and I have a column for owner employees, a column for the self-employed, and a column for the partners, and I run through that in pretty good detail. But I will answer the question really quick, which is to say that for the owner employees that pay themselves a W-2 wage, S-Corps. So if you go and you look at the guidelines on April 14th, you're going to conclude that the owner employees do not get to include their health insurance or their retirement benefits. However, if you go to the SBA guidelines that came out May 22nd, which followed the PPP application, which came out May 15th, it clearly does indicate that owner employees get to include their health insurance as well as their retirement. What's up, Kathy? And then with the self-employed, they don't get to include the health insurance or the retirement. Partners don't get to include any kind of health care or retirement. But for the owner employees, it was made clear. I know Rob, my good friend Rob, he had actually sent me a PowerPoint that he had gone to where they had indicated that you weren't able to include it. And then we came back together and we both then saw that you can do it. So I was glad that I was right in the end. But in that as well, I talk about where I get that information. If you look on the whiteboard, I actually put down what part of the application I'm looking at and then what part of the guidelines I'm looking at, like what page number and things to that. I've been trying to do that so people know where it came from, so they know what to reference. Okay, Amanda, how do I get back to seeing my live? Because I went to go find that channel. Thank you all for joining us today. Our word of the day is college baseball for my son, Coop, who's also the word of the day. How do I get back to...
Can you turn me around so I see what you...
All right, here we go.
So
Very homemade today.
Picture of that first video.
Okay, there we go.
And then go over there to the side and click from top chat, make it go to live chat.
Okay, all right, here we go. So right there, pop out.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then change it to live chat.
Okay, so
Right.
I said all that. We got to have a drink. Happy Friday, everybody. We had a few people have just come on with us. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going through questions on the live. We also do have some emails that we need to go through. Amanda, what's next?
This is from Jay Stephen. He says some other YouTubers adamantly claim home office expenses are forgivable expenses for us sole proprietors. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll have to find the video on it. Here's the thing to note is that anywhere on the forgiveness application, there's nowhere that you get to include that. Let's just put it straight. The other part is that if you want to include it, then I guess you can and see if your bank's going to include it. Here's the thing to note, though, is that the SBA guidelines as well that came out on May 22nd, if you also look at the guidelines that came out on April 14th, and then you look at the application, and so I do have a video where I discuss it at the end of the video. And so if you'll send us an email, we'll send you a link to that where I go through it in detail. But here's the thing to note is that the home office has 3 different ways to calculate it. The first is just $5 a square foot. You're not going to be able to include that deduction, period. I don't care what anybody says. It's not based on anything other than $5 a square foot. The other way to get a home office deduction is the indirect method or the direct method, where you're taking your mortgage interest from your house and your home utilities and your maintenance costs and things to that effect. And so when you look at then the guidelines, it indicates that you can only include the business interest. It indicates as specific as you could possibly see. So if you have other YouTubers and they're not showing you the law, they're not showing you the guidelines, in that video, I literally put the guidelines up on the screen. It literally indicates that self-employed that reside in their home don't have the same write-offs. So I don't know where anybody else is coming up with it. But here's the other part to know, okay? Seriously, I know home office gets everybody excited maybe about the deduction, and those that have a Schedule C, maybe they really think this deduction is a huge deduction. The deduction's usually just never more than $400, $500, $600, $700, and that part of the home office deduction, that's utilities and interest, is hardly anything. So really, at the end of the day, on a, let's just even say $1,000 deduction, because if you're getting more than $1,000 deduction, then you're breaking the law on how you're coming up with your home office deduction, unless you have a studio and you're seeing all your patients out of your house and you're in the Bill Cosby show. But my point is that in 28 years, I've never seen a home office deduction more than $1,000. So if you got more than $1,000 deduction, get ready for it to be challenged because it's probably a false deduction. Nonetheless, in $1,000 deduction, okay, when you take into account the maintenance and the utilities and any kind of insurance and your taxes and your mortgage interest, okay, you are looking at maybe $300 to $400. So go include it then. Just include it. I mean, so what? If I have a client that has a home office, okay, I'm not including it. Why? Because I don't think it's proper. So anyways, if you'll send us an email, I went in detail talking about it. So when you have anybody else, and I'm not a YouTuber, I'm a certified public accountant. So maybe you have another certified public accountant who's on YouTube and they've shown you a way to do it, then go for it. It's $300 to $400. I mean, it's immaterial, I guess. So if you're going to run it through, it's nothing exciting. It's $300. I mean, $400 max. It couldn't be more than that. So I will say this though, where YouTubers, okay, where they're not thinking, okay, is that they just stop and they go, oh, well, if I deducted it on my Schedule C, it says that I get to include it, okay? Well, yeah, but you have to read the rest of the sentences. You have to read the rest of the guidelines. So for those that maybe came up with a way to do it, I'm excited for them. I don't think that you can. Again, third time, send me an email. I'd love to, because it's about 10, 15 minutes where I totally destroy the fact that you cannot do it, period, the end. It says it right there. The SBA says self-employed who work in their house don't have utilities, don't have mortgage interest, don't have rent. It says it right there. And therefore, they don't have those deductions, period. So I don't know how more clear you can be on it. All right, hey, so college baseball, Coop, I appreciate that question. I like getting a little fired up. Amanda looks like you're ready to have a drink. You ready to have a drink, Amanda? Look at that smile. Look at this smile right here. Look at that smile. College baseball, Coop.
I don't have one. Haven't Diet Mountain.
What? Okay, well, they'll just tell everybody you're doing a Diet Mountain Dew.
Yep.
Okay. Now.
So, are we going to talk about what?
Yes. How do you want to go about it?
Well, I guess you're going to tell them. I'll just show it.
Okay. So, we're pretty excited about this. Last night, Amanda and I are like, well, maybe we should have done a little longer video. But we did a video, and Amanda had gotten together with a good friend of ours, and this is a t-shirt that we are selling. And it feels weird for me to sell something. So I feel a little bashful about it, to be honest with you. But this is the JJ, the CPA, and the Amanda shirt. You want to show them the back of it? And this is our tour shirt. So what's our tour? We are going out July 10th through July 27th. So we're going to go to 16 cities in 17 days. And we're going to be helping specifically 6 different businesses. I'm not charging these great, fine, wonderful businesses that are very successful, but that's what our reality show is based off of. So there's a link in this live where you can go buy a shirt. And I'll just tell you this, after we ship it to you and the cost of the shirt, we make $10. And so anyways, it's just to defray the cost of our travel. So the airfare and hotel and car rentals. And you don't have to buy a shirt if you don't want to. But at the same time, we'd love it if you did, because you can show your support, for lack of a better word. But it's on jjthecpa.com. So that's my business website, jjthecpa.com. And there's a page called merch. And then I put a link in the body of our live here. So, if you go and get one, we just did up 100 of them. If we run out, we can get more, but we did 100 of them. We figured, if we were able to sell 100 of them, and it's $10 to the cause to help these businesses. So we're going to be going from California to Washington to Massachusetts to New York City, and to Florida, and then we've been up to Wichita. And so anyways, we kind of budgeted out. This is not going to cover all our costs, but we thought, if this could help cover some costs, hotel and airfare and all that. So anyways, we'd appreciate it. And then, you know what? Now you have a shirt, the JJ, the CPA, and Amanda. And then on the back is all the tour dates of where we're going to be. So anyways, Amanda, what do you have to say about that all? What do you have to say about it all? I did all the talking as usual.
We would truly appreciate your support in that. It's just a way for us to also give back to you guys. I know that the JJ, the CPA, and the Amanda shirts have been such a hit, and we really appreciate that. We also just want to spread what we're doing, and the best way that we could think about doing that was putting it together on a t-shirt. We're excited because this is our first time that JJ and I have one together, and we're also going to get koozies in, and we're going to get hats in, so hopefully those will be in within the next week, and then I will add them as well to the merch tab. And we just really appreciate you guys so much. We think of all of you guys as our friends. We don't think of you as followers. We truly are invested in everybody, and we love you.
Absolutely. Yeah, Card Shop Reality, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I thought I replied to your email.
Yeah. And thank you, Linda, for the reminder. Everybody, make sure that you read the instructions for the t-shirt purchase, just because PayPal's weird and it won't let you message me your size. So after you buy your shirt, screenshot your receipt that PayPal's going to give you, email it to jj@jjthecpa.com or the help one. Some people have been doing that too. Email one of them and just say, I want a medium, or I want a large, or I want an extra large. So that way I know what size to get you, because I'm going to try to just mass get all of these out on Monday, this first set of orders. So if you get your order in today, then it will ship out on Monday.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody that spot one.
Clay, Group 300 is still alive and still active. It's just been moved over to my YouTube page, the Amanda. I can't put links in the chat, but I'll try to get in there and put it in the body of the email, but they come out every morning at 6 a.m. So I would love it if you guys would go over there and subscribe and watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Clay, we'll send Clay an email.
Yeah.
And then we should put a link in the body of this as well to your channel. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
And Clay, today's word is happiness. Carol said today's word is happiness. I love it. I love it.
I think that goes well with Coop. So that's a good one.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Rob. Thumbs up for everybody. Just it allows it to be raised up in the algorithm, so to speak. And then, John Jasper, I'm kind of with you. The only thing is on the home office is just make sure if you are going to include it, that you're only including the allocable utilities and the allocable home mortgage interest if you're going to include it. But it's personal mortgages, it's personal utilities. That's why I said, it's like it's going to be a $300 amount. Obviously, you're going to still take the deduction for your federal taxes, of course. But anyway, so whoever would like to see that video, because I put a bunch of stuff up on it. It was another person on YouTube that asked about it. So all I know is I'm right. That's what I know. I'm dead damn right on that one. So anyways, and it's just because that's what the SBA said. It's not per JJ the CPA. It's not even an opinion. It's what the SBA said. Anyways, all right. Next question. Is this from our live? We want to make sure they're still on with us if we're going to answer their question. Oh, do you know who it's from?
All right, this is from Matt. Yeah, I have to type in their name to see if they're still on. Matt says, I have a client that wants to use PPP money to hire some people to dissolve the business. The bank was not sure about this and referred the client to me. Wondering what JJ thinks.
Okay, wow. Well, I'm sorry for that circumstance. Well, the thing with PPP is that, we all know this, right? We get the PPP funds based on last year's payroll, and now we're using it for future payroll. And so we do know there is no requirement that whoever you paid last year is who you have to pay going forward. We do know, though, that when they're looking at the block of time of comparison is February 15th to April 26th. Go figure. But it's February 15th, and then April 26th is 30 days after the enactment. So when you're looking at those, that time period right here, you're looking at, well, who were your employees and what were you paying them? And then now when you're listing out those employees that you're paying throughout the forgiveness period, you're supposed to list those employees, their pay, the FTE, all that good stuff that potentially could lead to a haircut. But there's no requirement that the business continue. There's no requirement that even the business would have to make money, or the business could be booming and it can still use PPP. So I've not come across anything that changes the definition of how the PPP funds can be used based on the success or failure of the business. Obviously, the business is going to still be, responsible for whatever is not forgiven. From my perspective, wages are wages. Now, the question that I'm hearing, though, is hiring new employees to shut down the business. Again, though, not trying to find some technicality here. All I can say is there's nothing that says that the employees have to be doing the same things. That doesn't indicate that the business even has to be doing the same thing, which is kind of weird. So at the end of the day, I think that as long as they're, cautiously hiring these employees and the employees are, functioning in the business, and if that's closing down the business and winding down the business, well, that's unfortunate, but that's the payroll that's needed for the business. Now, know this, just like anything else, if they're hiring a professional and like, well, we'll just pay you $100,000 to come on in and close the business out since, it's free money. Well, whoever that employee is, though, they have to go on the schedule. They'll have to be compared. The wages that's being paid and the FTEs and all that good stuff is going to come into play. The 24-week, though, kind of is a game changer. Once we get the new PPP application for forgiveness, if you ask me, if you got 24 weeks to spend the dollars, why do they even, I know they're going to still have a haircut calculation, so to speak, but why? In the sense that someone could potentially have way more payroll in that 24 weeks than they even got in the PPP funds. And so a lot of the questions have been, well, can I use 100% of payroll for PPP forgiveness? Yeah, absolutely. From the standpoint of, here's the payroll, it can be 24 weeks worth of payroll. Now, I did do a video the other day that's PPP and QBI. So for the CPAs that are on with us, tax pros, EAs, thank you for being on. But I did a video kind of talking about comparing which expenses you would want to include, if possible, in your PPP loan forgiveness application, because whatever you're using for payroll, okay, you're not going to be able to tax deduct those payroll expenses. So this would be a very, very, very small window of people that might have to fit through this. But the point is that if you are a business and your qualified business income deduction is now going to be contingent on your wages, the more wages that are included in your PPP forgiveness application, the less wages you'll have that are deductible for QBI purposes. And then from the standpoint of waiting longer, because if you think about this, you can have up to 40% of rent and utilities and the interest. So, that 24 weeks, you could have a lot of rent in there making up the 40%. So then only 60% is the wages, but there might be some that are like, I've already met all the wages. Let's just do the forgiveness app and let's move on with life. Oh, it may not even matter to you because you may not be in that set of circumstances. But there's Amanda right there. Look at this. Hi.
Hi!
All right. Hey, when we
since our t-shirt's a cartoon character, I thought this was only appropriate. So.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So when we hit, how about when we hit 40 likes, then we'll take another drink. We're at 38. So if you haven't liked, then hit us with a like, and then we'll shout out the word. It looks like someone said they were doing something kind of coffee. Oh gosh, look at this. We already have 44 likes. Boom. Thank you so much. All right, so college baseball, Coop, and happiness are our words. All right, Amanda?
All right.
All right. You going to take a drink? Happy hour. Cheers. Coop, baseball. Alyssa, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yep, by the way, if you weren't on earlier, I'm in Kansas City. I'm in a hotel room. I'm on my son's baseball tournament. I did tell the tournament ahead of time. I said, listen, I'm going live 4 o'clock on Friday, and I've got people that are going to come, and they got questions, and we need to answer them, and so I need my son's game to be done in time. And so, of course, they obliged. And, boy, you've been drinking right there. I love it. All right, what other question do we got there, Amanda? Oh, we're at 50 likes. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys. All right, our next question is from Rob, and he asks if can we pay off existing loans with higher interest rates?
No, isn't that terrible? So you can't use PPP or EIDL to pay off loans directly. However, I've talked with clients about this, and I'm not coming up with a technicality at all. All I'm saying is, if you think about how the business, it's going to be bringing in income, right? And so if you have PPP, it's you're using it for payroll, you're using it for rent, utilities, all the good stuff, right? So you don't have those expenses in essence because they're getting paid by PPP. And then from the standpoint of the EIDL, it's the same thing. From the standpoint that you have these ongoing expenses, it's covering those expenses. So in essence, you don't have them. What's all that saying? You got money coming in the door, hopefully. Money's coming in the door. Your expenses are being taken care of over here. So you have money that's coming in. And so the money that you're collecting there, there's no restriction of what you can use those monies for, paying yourself back or paying off debt and all that good stuff. So it's a little bit, I don't want to say 6 1/2 dozen other, but it kind of is a little bit from the standpoint of, and again, I'm not trying to come up with technicality, it's just a reality. But, if you have $10,000 in the bank and then you put $50,000 of PPP money in the bank, and then all of a sudden you send, $35,000 to pay off a loan or something like that, it's like, well, you kind of used PPP or EIDL for that because you didn't have funds otherwise. And so you just want to caution yourself now on the EIDL. Don't get me wrong, I'm not at all telling you that because they're not going to probably ever look at it, you can just do whatever the heck you want. All I'm pointing out is on the EIDL, if you're able to show that you have ongoing expenses, that's what it's being used for. There's no timeline to use it up. The PPP, we now know we have 24 weeks. All right, so good question there. I do know we have a couple in the email, but do we still have some from the live?
We still have some in the live. Yes.
Oh, Jay got 140K. Congrats. I love it. I'm glad. Probably well deserved. Someone asked if it's rum and Coke. No, this is Tito's and grape Powerade.
This is from running for the Crown. I'm self-employed and I got $36,000. I'm told I don't need to rewrite a check to myself. Correct?
That's correct. Yes. So on this, I've got a bunch of videos you can go take a gander at, but nope, you don't need to write a check. It's just current application is you take line 31 divided by 52 times 8, automatic. The rest you can use for the rent, utilities, gas in your car. Some say you can use it for home office. I don't think you can, but nonetheless, it's only a few $100 either way. But from the standpoint of the new Flexibility Act, I am very anxious to see what it says, because it'll be a home run for the self-employed, which includes Amanda. And I also have a self-employed business in addition to my CPA practice, but I think it would lead to automatic forgiveness for the self-employed, and self-employed that don't have wages, so it'd just be on the self-employed portion, which I think would be wonderful, right? Then we don't even have to argue anymore about what can be included in those utilities and the rents. Not that we're arguing, I'm having fun. All right, hey, so what do we got next? Hey, and then make sure that you're hitting the likes. We got 52. I think we're good. Did I see that Blair's on? And oh, we have with Flying Colors. With Flying Colors said something about being on a trip.
Yeah, she's running errands because her honey is sweeping her away.
Oh my gosh.
Weekend, so.
Look at this.
Yes.
My honey's taking me away. A weekend trip, winery, resort, and a hot air balloon ride. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Don't get any ideas, Amanda, because we're not going in a hot air balloon.
I don't want to go in a hot air balloon.
And we're not going to Hawaii.
I know.
All right, what other question?
We're going to go to Florida.
Yes, we are going to Florida. We're going to see all kinds of friends there.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll get to see. Okay, what's next?
This is from G. For Uber drivers, what are the qualified expense for EIDL loan? Wait. For Uber drivers, what are the qualified expenses for EIDL loan? Is replacement of tires qualified? I know repairs are not.
Oh, no. So, yeah, it's an ongoing expense. So I'm going to just tell you right now, as an Uber fan, repairs would count. From the standpoint of it's not a repair to an asset, like improving the asset. So this gets really into a technicality. But in my opinion, an ongoing expense for an Uber driver would be tires, would be an oil change, right? I mean, you're burning for, I guess pun intended, you're burning through tires. I mean, you need oil changes more often, gas in your car. So I would say for an Uber driver, that is an ongoing expense. But you are right on the EIDL, if you have because the EIDL has been around for a long time, but if you had a big combine or, an asset that got destroyed in whatever the disaster is, the EIDL is not meant for that. But I think for Uber drivers, and then there's no time frame for you to use up your EIDL. So there's no rush to do that. And then, from my perspective, though, I'd just say this, if you're replacing the tires, I think you're good. But if you went and got new rims that had spinners on them and lit lights and stuff like that, probably wouldn't cover that. And I'm just having fun with you. All right, what do we got? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. I do want to make sure we'll go one more, but then I put some emails in that special folder, and we had someone that was asking about their CPA. We don't want to mention names on any of those because I said we wouldn't. But I do want to make sure we get to the emails that I put in there if we could. But do we have another one?
This will be the last one from the live, and then we'll do that, and then we'll start our wrapping up because I have to take two boys to dinner.
All right, hang on. Listen. Hey, I'm looking at you. What are you doing?
I'm looking at you.
Hey, beautiful. What are you doing, beautiful?
I'm looking at you.
You're looking over me there? Okay. We're going to answer the emails, and then if you got a split, I'll look real quick. If we see some other quick ones, I see some other quick ones. We want to make sure if you're on live, if you've got some questions, then we'll do some rapid fire related to that. Okay? Your boys can wait. I'm not eating until 7. We're having fun. All right, what's the next one there, Amanda? My soulmate.
Next one is from Wasai. If we burn through 60% of payroll funding, of payroll funding by mid-June, but with 24 period, would almost burn through the 40%.
Well, no, I think I understand the question. It's, well, once you burn through it all and you've got what you think is leading to full forgiveness, then you can apply. They don't have to be done at the same time. I think that might be what the question is. All right, hey, college baseball, Coop, happiness. Thanks everybody for being on. We're gonna now answer some emails and then we're gonna pop back over to here. We had last night, those of you that are tuning in, it'd be great if you would also go and check out these videos that we're putting together once a week. And yes, Alyssa, I appreciate that. Daryl Dugan, CPA. Once a week we're doing this reality series, and maybe we need to rename it. Maybe people don't know what it is, Amanda. Maybe we need to not call it the reality series or something like that. Maybe it's, CPA helping businesses. But anyways, long story short, if you don't know this, Amanda and I are helping businesses at no charge across the nation. We had 30 people apply, and I've been talking with them on the phone and looking at their QuickBooks and their financial reports and helping them make decisions and how to open. And, these are already successful businesses, but everybody was slammed down on the pavement, face first with this COVID. And so from my perspective, there's some businesses out there that maybe could use my help. So nonetheless, we're doing a reality series on it. We just thought it'd be a fun way to do it. It shows business owners that they're not alone. It shows business owners maybe some of the things that everybody else is going through, because I know a lot of small business owners, me included, we kind of think, we're the only ones. We're the only ones that are having maybe these issues. And we're not. And I don't mean like we're wondering if everybody was affected by COVID, but in terms of, how to use your PPP, how do you use your EIDL, but now helping 6 different businesses. So anyways, we are traveling around. I'm going to put it out there real quick. Amanda, if you want to hold up the shirt. JJ Yoda of CPAs. I love that, Cindy. But anyways, real quick, if you go to the body of the email, the body of the video, you'll see this link. We put together a tour shirt, JJ the CPA and the Amanda. And then on the back side is the tour dates and where we're going to be on this tour. And so anyways, we're just, it sounds weird to me to do this, Amanda. You know that. To just say, hey, we're selling shirts. And we're going to net $10 off of it. And the purpose of it, though, is that it's going to offset our travel costs. And so we would appreciate the support. We know that a lot of you have bought shirts. How many have we sold? That many? What have we sold? Like 20 of them? We got like 80 left, maybe 75 shirts left.
About 70. Yes, we have about 75 left.
Okay, well, good. So we started selling them last night. Okay, so on the emails, we had a discussion last night, and kind of the theme of the show last night was hiring a CPA, hiring professionals. And we did talk about my book. I don't have a copy of it, but in my book, I take the top 60 questions of my 27-year, now 28, career working with thousands of businesses. And part of what I address in the book, because like this much of a book about this thick, that much of it deals with taxes. The rest is about banking and insurance and business startup and how to work with banks and looking at your financials, and not from a tax perspective, but just ownership perspective. But in the first part of my book, I talk about what you should ask a professional, what you should ask an attorney or a investment advisor or a banker, but I also talk about what to ask your tax preparer if you're looking for a new one. And so anyways, we got an email. Amanda, do you want to read it? We're not going to say the name because they're talking about maybe they're looking at maybe firing their, or I don't know, you read it.
It says, this video touches on my main concern for my family business. My mother took control of this HVAC plumbing business 2 years ago. The company has been incorporated for over 30 years. The CPA the company uses is at the top of the pinnacle in his area, and it's the most successful and longest running CPA in this area. So my mom trusts the old guy and his kids. I think they're a great family, but I'm concerned they are not looking for tax advantages. We turn in our spreadsheet financial statement, his team enters the data and files our tax return, and then we send him X amount of money depending on what paperwork he has done for us. I feel left out in the cold. Shouldn't we be getting advice on new tax laws, etc., with our CPA? What do you advise?
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have to forgive me because if you probably already know this by now because you're sticking with us, and I appreciate it. I'm in a hotel room. I'm in Kansas City. This is as homemade as you could possibly get. Not to say that everything we do is not homemade, but anyways, I got a charger. I got a laptop. As you can tell, Amanda is not with me because she is in Oklahoma City. I'm in KC, but it is freezing in this room. I have icicles on my toes. I'm gonna have to go over here and turn down the air conditioning, and then I'm gonna come and answer these questions. So talk amongst yourselves, and everybody, we're gonna say college baseball, Cooper happiness. So grab yourself something to drink. Daryl, is John Hamilton on with us? All right, so let's, whew. All right, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. On CPAs, tax pros, EAs, I'll say this for starters, is that a lot of us, we don't know how to say no. A lot of us, we don't want to say no. A lot of us, we have clients that they go in a new direction, and so we want to continue to work with them. So all of a sudden you look up and you're working with a client that's now in the motorcycle business, and you don't never worked with a motorcycle business before, and so now you're spending time doing that. CPAs are doing payroll, they're doing sales tax, they're doing bookkeeping, they're doing tax returns for individuals and S-Corps and partnerships and maybe C-Corps. And most small CPA firms start to get overwhelmed. And because of the nature of who we are, we're typically caretakers, we're typically people that well, like I said, we don't want to say no. And we also don't want to say no to business. So from my perspective, you probably just have someone that, especially if they're successful at the top of their game, they probably have a lot of clients. And what I would do is, for starters, is give that CPA every chance to regain your confidence. And what I tell people when they come to me and they're like, hey, I think I'd like to hire you, and I talk about in the video last night, I usually like, well, why? What's going on with your current situation? And when I hear what you're telling me, what I start with is, why don't you get a hold of that CPA, send them an email or set up a meeting or a message or something, and be proactive in getting in front of them. See how quickly they are reacting to you just wanting to interact with them, okay? So you want to tell that CPA, we appreciate all the services that you're doing. We'd like a little bit more service of understanding, maybe doing a little bit of strategy. And so we'd like to come in and have a meeting with you to talk about what you think we could do. And you'll know based on their responsiveness if they're like not too busy to take care of that. And then when you have the meeting, if you walk away and you feel like you're satisfied. Now, what I would say is, when you're having that meeting, you shouldn't expect to walk away and your boots were blown off. I mean, it's just taxes, it's just accounting. But when I hear what you're saying, which is you feel a little left in the dark, maybe you're not understanding the numbers, not because you don't understand numbers, not because you don't understand business, but you're giving information that somebody else is doing something with, and then filing something with that information. So it's very logical that you're like, okay, I understand the numbers I gave you, but doesn't mean I understand the numbers that you provided to the IRS, so to speak. So that's what you're asking for is, I'd like to do some planning. I want to understand a little bit more my numbers. So don't confuse them. You're not trying to understand what they do. Who cares what they do? That's why you hired them. You're trying to make sure they understand. You're not asking them to justify their bill. You're not asking them to justify their time. What you're asking them is, hey, I just want to have a meeting. I want to understand a little bit more my numbers. So that'd be the key, is just to like the thing you would want to say over and over and over is, I want to understand my numbers better. Will you help me understand my numbers better? Or I want to strategize a little bit more on my numbers. Now, if you sit down with that CPA, tax pro, EA, and they're like, well, what do you want to know? It's probably just, it's like, well, it's kind of like if you go to a doctor and it's like, well, I'd like to understand this spot on my arm a little bit more. And if they say, well, what do you want to know? Well, it sounds like a smart ass, and you should just go fire him and just tell them straight to their face, you're fired, asshead. So from my perspective, you want to make sure that if you're dealing with someone that's cynical, if they're going to get defensive, if they're not leaving you feeling as though they're there and want to take care of you, then just fire them right then. Like tell them to their face. You'll enjoy it. Tell them to their face, because I will say this to my brothers and sisters that are in this industry. Start saying no. Stop taking on everything. Stop trying to be everybody's CPA and be the CPA to those that are taking care of you. We all know that in any business there's sour apples. Well, get rid of the sour apples for one. What's a sour apple? Someone that doesn't pay. What's a sour apple? Someone that's complaining. So that's why I'm saying, don't call them up and complain. Don't call them up and indicate to them that you're not happy, because I don't think that's the case, in the sense of you don't even know if you're unhappy. All you know is you're in the dark. So from my perspective, I think giving them that chance and then seeing if they're able to do it. Because I'll tell you this right now, I'm in a unique position that with my grandfather, who was a CPA, and he was able to be my mentor. I'm practicing the way that he practiced now, but it's taken me 24 years to get to it. But when I started to hear, this would go back to probably 2017. I grew, and I had 13 people working for me. I had, Dustin and Megan and Steve and Jim and Christy, that were 5 individuals that were preparing returns, doing the best that they can. But we were growing and growing and growing. And so when I heard clients that they weren't getting a return phone call, or they didn't understand their bill, or they weren't happy with their results, or they didn't understand the results, here's what I did about it. I took $150,000 worth of clients and said, hey, CPA that used to work for me, you're fired, and here's $150,000 worth of business. Why don't you office in my building for free for 2 years, and you take care of these clients? Hey, group of clients, you're fired. Now you're going to go with this CPA. Hey, group of clients, you're fired, and you're going with this person. And so basically, in my opinion, I helped others start their own practices, because I got tired of hearing that people weren't happy. So that's how I dealt with it. But I'll tell you this right now, fellow business owners, less sometimes is more, in my opinion. So I charge $400 an hour. And I have a lot of clients, the ones that I'm working with now, I've worked with them for a long, long time. I'm able to talk to them. And so anyways, long story short, for me, I feel like CPAs, EAs, tax professionals, hey, from the Big Apple, we have a responsibility as well. But I also feel like there's a lot of times, to bring it back full circle, that CPAs and EAs and tax pros maybe think you don't want to have a meeting. We think that, not me, you don't want to spend any more money. Not me, not Mike in California. I don't know about some of the other CPAs. But I worked for a CPA firm for a short period of time, and the older partner said, you're going to buy a domestic car. You're not going to have something fancy. You're going to buy a used car. What's that have to do with anything? But my point is that the client said, hire me. If I had one time a client ask me, what do you drive? And I told them, they're like, you're hired. Because if you drive that car, you're good. So from my perspective, I've wanted to become a specialist since I started my practice. I was, and then you grow and grow and grow, and you kind of maintain your specialties. And so I kind of look at it as this way. And when I talked with every single client that I fired, in essence, it sounds more glamorous than it is. It's a terrible sort of circumstances. Is just like, hey, I'm not a fit. You have a motorcycle business. Guess what? I don't know anything about motorcycles. So here's a CPA firm that probably can help you. Oh, you're now doing this. I can't help you. Oh, you've grown. You're in all these states. It doesn't make sense for you to continue to work with me. Here's somebody else to work with, where I think potentially business owners, tax professionals, CPAs, they want to help that client. It's all good nature, okay? It's all in the name of helping the client. But now, what are you doing? You're trying to figure out what's going on in North Carolina or Florida when you should be talking to the clients that are here. So that's preaching to maybe the choir, but give them a shot. One of the things that my grandfather said is that with your fellow CPAs, if somebody comes and wants to hire you, especially the CPAs that you get to know, tell that person, like, well, maybe you didn't give them a chance. Give them another shot. Go ask them. Go meet with them. Tell that person, I'd like to spend a little bit more money with you. I'd like to spend an hour with you. Don't put them on the defense. Just say, I just want to understand my numbers. I want to understand my numbers. I want to understand my numbers. And I also know, though, that our profession can be asses sometimes, and that's why I just say, then fire them. You got someone who's going to be an ass to you, out. Okay? So, long story short, give them another shot, and if not, then watch that video that we did last night, because I kind of walk you through what to do, how to ask for it. Check out my book, JJ the CPA here, which is on Amazon. All right, thank you for that question. Thank you for the email. Amanda, what else do we got? And then we'll buzz through these. I know there's some longer ones. I read them all. If you'll just notice, thank you. Will you just remind me of the email? Because I read them all.
Yeah, you want me to read it?
Yeah.
I got PPP and EIDL, but I've been waiting for the 8 weeks PPP period to end before using EIDL on payroll. Now that the covered period has been extended to 24 weeks, do I have to wait that long to start using EIDL on payroll, or can I start using it once my PPP funds have run out? Basically, I'll be out of PPP funds 10 weeks into the new 24-week covered period, and I'd like to start using EIDL to cover payroll at that time, but I'm not sure if I should wait another 14 weeks just to be safe.
Gotcha. Yeah. So once you've used your PPP funds, then you can start using the EIDL. So we do know with, it's not been put in writing yet, but with U.S. Secretary of Treasury Munchin, indicated yesterday that we can apply for PPP forgiveness anytime we want. So once you've used up your PPP funds, on payroll and rent and utilities, to the extent that it's gone, but you've used it for the right purposes, then you can start using the EIDL. So you don't need to wait until the 24 weeks, which we did have the question. So good email on that. And then what else we got? Oh, did I mute you? Did I mute you? Oh.
No, I did.
Okay.
Sorry.
What's the next one?
The next one's a long one, so I guess you want me to help just...
Yeah, just remind me what it's about.
After going through the PPP loan forgiveness application, I saw you have to take the lesser of those 3 lines. Then I got even more confused. I thought I recalled watching one of your videos that by dividing by 0.60 max loan forgiveness would easily be achieved for the self-employed. I thought this meant for payroll portion, but after watching your latest video...
Yeah, gotcha. So what they're talking about there on the self-employed is we are anxiously waiting, and in all those videos I indicated that we needed to get the final SBA guidelines, that we need to get the updated PPP forgiveness application, And from the standpoint of, do we get the 60%? Yes. If we get the 24 weeks, then it's Yahtzee time, because it's the lesser of those three numbers. So we know that the 0.60, even if it's the 8-week amount, okay, that would lead to an amount that's higher than the loan. If we don't get, though, the 24 weeks, then yes, we're going to still have potentially an issue where the line 1 payroll cost, if it's still based on 8 weeks, would be the lesser of. And so, yeah, our line 8 would be the payroll cost based on 8 weeks. Hopefully it'll be 24. But yeah, in those calculations that I did. So yeah, and let's see. So I don't know what Zoran's comments about. Yeah, maybe you don't know who I am. I'm JJ the CPA. I got a little bravado. Maybe you've been on. And so when I'm calling a client, because I just said that when I'm firing them, I'm just having a little bravado. But I called every client. I said, hey, you know what? We're not doing a good job for you. We're not meeting your needs. We don't know what you're doing. And so I've got a CPA here that's going to work with you. So instead of firing them and putting them out in the cold with nowhere to turn, we waited until we were after all the deadlines, and this was in November, and you go to a group and you say, hey, here's the CPA that you've been working with. You get to keep working with them. By the way, it'll be cheaper because they're on their own, okay? And I'm going to give them free rent, and you get to come to the same office, and you're going to be taken care of. But my practice is not doing you justice. I don't want you to be unhappy. I want you to be taken care of, and it's not happening. So my role starting 3 years ago was to get it all the way back down to the original clients that I have to provide better service. So if you ask me, that's a pretty decent guy instead of just being high on the hog and doing a crappy work. So anyways, I hear you. I hear you. All right. Thank you, Zoran.
All right. Our next one is, can you please define owners for PPP?
Oh.
Not self.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Not self-employed or single-member LLC.
Yeah.
Thanks for the clarification. I think your videos help me keep my job. I'm just a clerical admin helping an accountant.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, so owner employees, what's interesting here, and for those that are on that do tax stuff, there's been no definition of what percentage they have to own, right? We know that with S-Corps or with partnerships, there's more than 2% shareholder, there's more than 2%, partner. And then if that's the case, the health insurance limitation potentially comes into play, and you have to pick it up in wages, or it has to be a guaranteed payment, or whatever the case is. So when I'm reading it, I don't see any, and I put it in one of my videos. I was like, gosh, is it like a 0.01? So probably rare that would come into play. I would probably just say, owner employee is directly the owner. I was shocked that the SBA didn't come out and indicate that if you're related to the owner, that your wages have to be thrown into that bucket. Whether it's just a lateral, whether it's your spouse or your partner or whatever, closely held or whatever, but they didn't. So it's literally just, when I read the guidelines, when I read the application, it's literally just the wages of the owner. So part of the reason I know that you're probably asking is that we know that for owners, it's only based on 2019 W-2. And for the owner employees, the amount of the health insurance as well as the retirement benefit, whatever was done for that owner employee for 19, it's all based on 19. So in terms of the definition, I think it's, right down to, based on the number of shares for, because this is going to be in a corporation or a C corporation. I know that LLCs can be an S or a C, and they don't technically have shares. So if you look at other things, it would be based on, what's their ownership for, either equity purposes or profit and loss. So kind of gets into possibly a technicality of what's considered an owner. But for me, I would probably say for sure if they're more than a 2% shareholder, but it could just be no matter what. If they're an owner, they're going to get pulled into that. I love it. I'm reading Zoran's comment. I love it. All right, so hey, we got Shane in Oklahoma City. This is Amanda's son who just graduated high school wearing the Amanda t-shirt. Look at this guy.
Wearing my t-shirt.
Look at this guy. He's like a pop star. Look at it. Look at this. He's like as cool as can be.
That's right. He is.
All right. What's the next question?
All right. Y'all have a good time. I love you. All right. The next one is quick question. Now, this email was sent before the president signed the new act. So it says, assuming this new act is signed by the president, given the new 24-week time frame, as a self-employed individual, could you now receive loan funding and postpone paying out of the 8 weeks worth for a period of time, providing it's spent by the 24-week period?
Yeah. So even though we got that email before the act, I wanted to include it because more just to say, we don't, as self-employed, we don't have to pay ourselves out anything. It's just a calculation for the self-employed Schedule C filer. There's then, in my opinion, but I'll tell you, listen to this one. I did a video on it, and not everybody watches every video, but you're not able to choose. You're not able to choose as a self-employed what period are you taking your PPP, and why is that important? Well, we know that for the self-employed, you can get PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. I didn't apply for it because I was still getting wages. I got PPP, but I also am self-employed, so of course I was covered, so I didn't do it. But I know this, for PUA, every state is different, which I find frustrating because it's a federal program. And it was meant, in my opinion, really for the self-employed. I know that the employees are able to take advantage of it, but from my perspective, hey Richard, what is going on? Richard from Brooklyn. But from my perspective, I don't think we get to choose. Now here's the well, how does it work if it's 24 weeks? Because there's no way that it would be fair, not possible, can't be the set of circumstances that you now would have a self-employed individual or even an employee that's an owner that now can't get PUA for 24 weeks if they got PPP because it was only meant to be for 8 weeks. So the first part of this answer is just to say you don't get to pick what weeks it applies to, but in many states it doesn't even matter about PPP. And from the standpoint of now, if it's 24 weeks, I can't imagine that in any world of circumstances that you would be unable to. Richard, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. That you would have to now not get PUA for 24 weeks. But I did this video, second part of this answer. In it, I indicate that it was just food for thought. You're not going to find it documented, and I usually try and really let you know when I think I'm giving you an opinion, like an opinion. But in my opinion, I started to rethink this because, and I wish that I could remember who asked me this, but I sent him the video. But Tammy, go to the body of this video to get the t-shirt. Thank you so much. Or you can go to jjthecpa.com and you'll find a merch page, MERCH, but jjthecpa.com. That's my business website. It's not on the help website because I just want to keep that where everything's free. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. But think of this. So PPP is not income. Like it's not. Now, if you spend PPP funds on qualified expenses, you achieve forgiveness. Under current law, you're not able to deduct those expenses, but it doesn't make PPP income. And so what I started thinking through, pure opinion, was, well, then do you have to reflect it as income? Because in essence, it's not. And if you don't use it properly, it's all a loan, or you don't use it at all, or whatever the case is. And so anyways, in that video, I was like, gosh, do you even have to report it? So there are, I would say the majority of the states, let's just say 45 out of the 50 states, don't ask about PPP. It seems like there's about 5 states. Arizona, I know, is one of them. Seems like the rest are in the Northeast, and they're asking, did you get PPP? One of the states says, did you get PPP this week? And so they put down the amount that they got that week. And so then the next week, they said, did you get PPP this week? This is just online questioning. Well, they said no. I mean, and they even called the unemployment office to say, hey, how should I answer this the next week? So this has been a little bit of a frustrating part, because when everybody's in the crisis circumstances and they're trying to just get PUA, they're not even trying. I mean, at $600 a week, it's hard to take advantage of the system. And if you need the $600 a week, then you should try and make sure, if you qualify for it, that you're getting it. All to say, I don't know if PPP should have affected PUA in any way, shape, or form. Let's see. All right, so we got a quick question here from Richard. Say, can you address my query where you are in New York with Josh Jelinski and the dentist too? Yes. Amanda, when are we in New York? It's is it July 18th and 19th? It's a Saturday and a Sunday, Richard.
Yes, the 18th and 19th.
18th and 19th. Yes, thank you for that. Richard, have you sent us an email? Would you send me an email, jj@jjthecpahelp.com? Because I'd actually really love to meet you, and I want to make sure we could make that happen. Make sure you know where we're going to be. We're going to be there. We're going to be driving down from Massachusetts. So, real quick, everybody, I'm gonna buzz through here. Amanda, did we get all the emails?
No.
All right.
We have. I have 2 left.
Okay. I remember reading them, so buzz through it. Oh, Richard. Well, thank you. That's an honor. All right.
Is the actual language saying it's either 8 weeks or 24 weeks, or do you think it can be somewhere in that range?
Oh. Yeah, so it is weird how it says you can elect to do the 8 or you can do the 24. So maybe guidelines will let us know what that's all about. But U.S. Secretary for the Treasury, Munchin, said yesterday, thank you to With Flying Colors, that sent us a link, I believe, and I know Rob sent us a link to the actual hearing. But the Secretary said, you know what, you can apply for forgiveness whenever you want. So it'll be interesting to see Terry D. Terry D, we are going to be home until July 10th. So we are around for a while. We really appreciate that. Terry D wants to send us something. All right, what else do we got? What's our next one? Thank you for your question. Yeah, Gene, you're right. It's going to change again. You're right, Gene.
This one has 3 questions. The first one is, did I hear you correctly that owners are not included in the FTE calculation?
Okay.
Even when we receive a W-2.
So the FTE calculation, the full-time equivalent, as well as the salary comparison, those are 2 haircut calculations to look at, do you have the same employees? Do you have the same amount of salaries being paid out? The owner-employee doesn't get to be included in that calculation. So you'll see in the application that everything in, let's see, it'd be page 8 and 9 of the forgiveness application, the current one, then I'm distracted. Someone wants to meet us in New York as well, and first round's on them. I really appreciate that. So when you're looking at that application, you don't include the owner employees on page 8 and 9, which is where the FTEs are included. So yes, they're not included. What's the second part of that one, Amanda?
correct the W-2 for the 3 owners to include health insurance premiums. That put one owner over the 100,000 mark. But health insurance is not a wage, correct?
Yes, health insurance is not a wage. Great question, because this was early on when like 37 people were watching my videos. But in my opinion on this, and the reason I say my opinion on it is that nowhere did the SBA indicate what box you're supposed to pull from the W-2, or what line item from the 941. And what I chose for my clients, I felt was the most conservative number, which is box 5, which is the Medicare wages. And from that perspective, health insurance is not included in the Medicare wages. Health insurance for more than a 2% shareholder has to be included in box 1. So here's the answer to that one, and we definitely want to make sure that we, are you emailing them back to tell them when we answered it? Yeah. So on this, they're not above the 100, because you should be, in my opinion, looking at box 5, which would not include that. And then it does state very clearly, May 22nd SBA guidelines, that the owners, employees, it's their wages up to the 100, plus the health insurance and the retirement benefits, all based on 2019. And your CPA didn't write to amend the W-2s to include the health insurance for the more than 2% shareholders. And I'll tell you this right now, don't be upset with your CPA that they had to do that, because sometimes they didn't know, they didn't track it. We don't do payroll for any clients. We just have our clients go to third parties to do that. And even then, we communicate with the payroll companies to say, hey, here's the health insurance that has to get picked up. Sometimes it doesn't happen. So I'm more impressed that they went back and amended it. What was the third part?
Commission amounts are currently lower because of low sales receipts due to COVID. They are paid monthly. Am I to pay these salespersons a comparable amount to last year's sales commission amount instead of what they've really earned this month?
Yeah, so great third part of that question. The IRS does indicate, and they specifically talk about the restaurant industry, so I know that we could extrapolate this. But they specifically state in the guidelines that if you're closed and you have staff that make money off of commissions and or tips, that you can use then an average of what they made in the prior year to pay something that's reasonable. So they didn't give a concrete calculation of how that works. So the short answer is yes, because it's meant to help those employees maintain what they would normally be making. And so if their commission, if they made $12,000 in commission in the prior year, well, you take $12,000 divided by 52 weeks times 8, and I think that'd be a pretty safe calculation. And or if you knew that there was an average during that time frame compared to the prior year. So I just think if as long as you have something that's reasonable, I think you're okay on that. So Amanda, do we have any I see that we've got one for...
Yeah, we have questions in the comments.
Yeah, so Duvall, who's going to buy us our first round, has a question. So even though it's the last one that's listed, let's hit it. Question for you, client. A client of mine is 100% over S-Corp. He applied for PUA, and he did get unemployment, but the state came back and said since he didn't have any wages, his benefits were denied. Oh, yeah, you know what? That's where the S-Corp owners got nailed, is that the PPP is only based on wages, the PUA is only based on wages, and then even the EIDL advance if they hadn't paid themselves wages. So it's unfortunate because and this, right? So the S-Corp owner, their K1 is considered investment income. It's not portfolio income, it's not capital gain income, but it's not earned income. The box 1 of an S-Corp. It's not considered self-employment income. So that's why the S-Corp owners got left out on the cold. And I know that early on someone had said, well, this is why S-Corp owners, should have been paying themselves wages in the past, so that they would be able to be included. What else do we have? Thank you for that question. Do we have any other questions? I know we've got a number of things listed.
Hector asked, expenses for the transportation industry other than payroll.
Transportation industry? What industry?
Yeah. Expenses for the transportation industry other than payroll.
Yeah, it'd be the rent, utilities. If you're self-employed, it does include gas. Go to my website, jjthecpahelp.com. I have a self-employed page that says SE Forgiveness where I list everything out. Thank you, Duval. I appreciate that. Let's see, real quick. Let me look here real quick, Amanda. Let's see. We talked. Yes.
No, I'll let you. I had another one, but I'll let you.
Oh, okay. So I'm just buzzing. I'm going back up to the top. We got Scott Sargent low and outside for the win.
Yeah.
Got Card Shop Reality, JJ rolling my style, the way I do things today. I love it. And take your son to work today. That's true. If he's talking about Coop, I think it's Kathy. Let's see. And then Daryl, I'm just popping through here. And we got Greg. Bama plays baseball also. Roll Tide. I love it. I love it. And let's see. So we just got an email and from One Cool P. And so go to jjthecpa.com to order a t-shirt. They just emailed to say, hey, how do we order a t-shirt? Maybe we already answered it. Actually, the email came. And,
yeah, I've answered her twice.
Oh, okay. And we got John, where are the games? I played on, oh my gosh, really? 3 and 2 fields in Shawnee Mission Park. We are at Creekside. I think it's called Creekside. We're near the airport in Kansas City, if you're still on. And then John Jasper, use up the 8 weeks and then lay him off. I know he's kidding around. And let's see. Oh, and we do have John Hamilton on. I thought that I saw that. Daryl Dugan, thank you so much, CPA. Let's see. Okay, so it was J. Stephen Wilson. Got me fired up about the home office. And let's see. Oh, Greg Baker, does the trash bill still work for the 25% on the allowable expenses for non-payroll? I think so if it's part of your utility bill. I have seen some that have made some interpretations because the SBA has really not made many. They've just kind of talked about the obvious ones. So I do know on mine in the city of Edmond utility bill, it includes the money for the trash pickup, and so I'm including that. Feels like it is a utility. It's on a utility bill. And let's see. Okay. Oh, you know what? What is going on here? Because it's Friday. I know we're wrapping up. Okay, but it's Friday. It's happy hour. Thank you for all of those that are on. We got 63 thumbs up. We still have 68 people with us, maybe now 64. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to buzz through this real quick, but the word of the day is college baseball. Coop, my son, thank you for that, and happiness. So here's to all three of those things. Let's have a quick drink. I'm going to look through here. Amanda, while I'm taking this drink, do you want to, do you have that other question still?
Asking for a colleague, they were denied PPP through BOFA because they said there was a duplicate application submitted. They only submitted one, could not reach anyone at BOFA, so they applied with Cabbage and was denied there. How do you find the duplicate?
Yeah, I saw that. I think that was from Cindy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a tough spot. And I think a couple of people had said to contact the SBA. That might be the only recourse there is on that. So yeah. All right. So we got Fred. Fred said anti disestablishment narcissism or something like that. So, all right, well, cheers to that one. Amanda, do we have another one or are we good? We got Big YouTuber. Comprehend. People will be forced to comprehend what was happened to God's chosen people. Not sure what that's about.
This is from John. Do you think the 2019 limitation for owner-employee will be kept even for newer business that use January, February 2020 to calculate their PPP amount?
Yeah, you know what? That's a tough one because I haven't seen anything different on it. it could be one of those where maybe someone makes a case that, hey, we based it on this, but I do know if they didn't have anything in 19 that they're going to have to base it off 2020, but they've not given any guidelines. I know in September 14th, the SBA said that they would provide more guidelines related to this. I think it's okay that they haven't, because we probably are just now in the early weeks where maybe people were able to get through even the initial 8 weeks. Now we have the 24. From my perspective, Andy Kiss, what's going on? From my perspective, if you don't have any wages in 19, I don't know how you don't use 2020. It seems like you would have to use 2020 if there are no wages in 19. I hate to say it, but I think if there are wages in 19, then that's probably what you would have to use. But I'd almost go back to this. What was used to obtain the PPP loan? It seems logical that you would continue to maintain those same numbers. So at the end of the day, that's not going to be a one size fits all on that. But that'd be my best, honestly, right now, guess on that one, because we don't have anything specific.
All right. We have one last one, and then we've covered all the questions that are in chat. Client of mine is 100% owner of an S-Corp. He applied for PUA, and he did get unemployment.
Okay, go ahead. Is this Deval's?
Yeah, did you already answer it?
Yeah, I already nailed that one. Yeah.
Okay, then that's it.
Boom. All right. Well, I guess we covered it for the day. We're at 101 minutes. Thank you all for being on with us. I meant to ask this at the beginning. Anybody know of like a spectacular, only in Kansas City barbecue spot? Anybody know a place to go get barbecue in Kansas City? I'm near the airport, but I've been designated by Cooper's team to find a fabulous place to go get Kansas City barbecue. Anybody know a spot? And let's see. Okay, so as we're wrapping off, when we see that, thank you so much for everybody that was on, and Glenda, and Gene, and Daryl Dugan, of course, and Fred Sims, CPA. Rob, great to see you as always. Thanks for everything. Running for the crown. I'm self-employed and got 36K. I'm told that I don't need to write myself a check. Oh gosh, we already answered that. Charlotte, how are you? Let's see. Oh, they can see this mark on my head. I don't know what that is. Maybe I need to go get it checked, Amanda. I don't know what that.
Well, I told them earlier. Whenever you get red on the face, that gets a little darker.
Yeah, one of my best friends is a dermatologist. I need to go check him out.
Jean McIntyre, Thank you for buying a shirt. My plan is for everybody who gets their orders in by tomorrow that I will get those shirts mailed out to you guys on Monday. So the shirts that we have now, we actually have on hand.
Thank you.
And then once we sell through that, then we'll order some more. But my plan is if you get your order in by tomorrow, then they will go out Monday.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. All right, Alyssa. Thank you so much. Much love to you all. Let's see. And then Fred Lowe, have a great weekend. They say, Amanda, have a great week. Thank you for the good luck to Coop. That'll be a word that we can go. Tony, thank you. Have a great weekend. Go Coop. I appreciate that. Card Shop Reality said it's good. It sounds like it's goodbye time. So thank you for tuning in with us. And let's see. Zoran. Much aloha. See you later. I appreciate that. Gene and CJ.
Guy says that there is a hole-in-the-wall barbecue place. Who's going to get the name of it and email it.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Guy. And and have a great weekend, Guy, and Gene and CJ and Rob and Alyssa and
Thank you so
Vigato.
much, Tammy, for ordering shirts.
Oh, yeah. Vigato, thank you. I'm glad that makes sense as well. And Valerie Clark, SEC is the only place to play college baseball. You know what? Coop's thinking about JUCO because then it gives them opportunity maybe to get, drafted sooner. But I tell you what, those that love the SEC love the SEC. Coop's kind of a homebody. So he'd love to go to OU. What's Nebraska in? Nebraska's not in the SEC, are they? I know that they left the Big 12. Let's see. Okay, so Duvall. So JJ, follow up. Would it be the S-Corp owner's issues himself a 1099 for 2019? What's interesting in that is that two things on that. One, the IRS interpreted the new tax law. Now, when I say new, I'm talking about the one that came in January 1st, 2018, that 1099s to S-Corp owners, while they can do it, will not be considered for any purposes to be compensation. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that a state wouldn't see it that way. And so that would just depend. I'm talking about the IRS, so I don't know about on the state level. But then I think that you would have to have that person, then qualify as a self-employed individual. Maybe that's something that would work there. But of course, you know this, right? If you have the 1099, boom, you have self-employment tax. And so would that be worth it? Who knows? So yeah, I like, we're trying to help our clients. All right, let's see. I want to make sure. Andy Kiss says, hi, Amanda. And with flying colors, thank you. And Carol, have a great weekend. Diane B, hey, have a great weekend with flying colors. Enjoy your wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. We got here one friend 21. Hi, JJ. Any thoughts on this? CPA says I can get forgiveness. An amount of PPP, which correlated to the amount of profit gets during the 8 weeks, maybe 24 following sole prop. I do agree, but we do want to see what the SBA comes out with for final interpretation, because hopefully it'll be 24 weeks and then boom, it's game over in the sense that we'll just have 100% forgiveness on that. All right, thank you for the good luck. Richard, can't wait to meet you, good sir. And let's see, Daryl, can you give me any insights on Cade Cavalli taking? Oh, Daryl Dugan's giving me is quizzing me on some baseball stuff. Terry D, have a good one. Tammy from Virginia, thank you so much. Thank you for ordering t-shirts, everybody. It helps offset our costs, and you get to have a nice memento. The JJ and Amanda t-shirt. Amanda, do you mind just holding it up one more time for those maybe that didn't see it?
Of course.
And you can go to jjthecpa.com. And the only reason we're selling these is because we've just given away everything until now. The only reason we're selling these is it's to help offset our costs to do this travel on this tour. So the JJ the CPA and the Amanda tour. So go to jjthecpa.com and merch. There's also a link. And then Amanda said that, be sure to see the instructions, which is this simple. You're paying on PayPal. We get your address, but then you have to email us your size for some reason. PayPal won't let you put a note in there to tell us what size you want, which seems kind of crazy. So anyways, and so Fred, thank you for that. Let's see, Cindy, have a great weekend. Alyssa, thank you so much. And Fred and Tony and Card Shop and Zoran and Guy and Jean and CJ and Alyssa. And let's see, Andy Kiss and Terry D and Angelia. And let's see, and Daryl and Duvall and Richard and Terry D. Thank you all so much for coming on. One friend 21. Thank you. Sang Dang. Appreciate you. Audra Jones. Howdy. Hopefully y'all have a good weekend. And then to see Dyer Firm 11. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you. Kathy. I love it right there. JJ, the choir is singing. Amen, coach. And let's see, Cool 1P and Charlotte. Thank you so much. Okay, yeah, Charlotte's saying that she had to move on. Yeah, well, you gave him 2 years. And let's see, and Glenda. All right, so Glenda, be sure to tell Leah to have a good weekend as well. Carol, thank you so much for everything. And Hector, appreciate you coming on. Wasai and J-Tac And Blair, what's going on, Blair? I don't know if Blair's still on. And Blair says, can you use EIDL to pay for the extortion charges? All right, everybody, thank you for coming on. If you didn't give it a thumbs up before you leave, give it a thumbs up because it'll help people come and watch it later. We got some good information. Gene, business must continue on. Valerie Clark, thank you so much. Paul, what's going on? What's up, Paul? Have a great weekend. Great to see you all. Thank you so much. Kathy, great weekend. All right, Amanda, you want to tell everybody goodbye?
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for everything, and we hope that you have a fabulous weekend.
Absolutely, and thank you for ordering the t-shirts. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you Monday. Get rid of my red dot. All right, Duvall, thank you so much. Gene says the professional, JJ and Amanda, get out here and enjoy the weekend. That's right, happy hour has begun. All right, hey, love you all. Thank you so much. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. Got to end everyone saying that. All right, hey, have a great weekend. Appreciate you all so much. Much love.